Joining us for a little bit is Caddo Parish Clerk of Court, Mr. Mike Spence. Hey, Mr. Mike, welcome to Keel. How you doing this morning?
How you doing, Robert?
Getting better every day, my friend. And Erin wants to lead off. She's chomping at the bit.
I hope you got some sleep. There were a lot of questions, a lot of things popping up on social media about some voting problems in Spring Lake, that people could not vote for the bond issue propositions. Were you able to confirm it? Was there a problem?
Well, first of all, I never had an official report. All I heard from that was secondhand reports. So I did contact a few of my employees and a few friends that lived in Spring Lake, and they were able to. So I do not have an answer to that.
So for all this social media hubbub, I tried, I couldn't do, it wasn't there, et cetera, et cetera. You at the sitting in the official chair, nobody really got in touch with you and said, Mike, we got a problem here. That just didn't happen, huh?
Secondhand. I had, through my office, I had some contacts because I was out in the field riding around. No one told me anything at the precincts.
Is it accurate that anybody who votes at that library, they all reside in the city of Shreveport?
Yes. Once I heard of the problem, I actually pulled out the voting maps, and we found one little street off Ellaby Road that is not in the city limits. I believe it was called Lake Forby. But other than that, I saw nowhere where a person would not be able to vote.
In recent memory, off the top of your, this is not your first election, obviously.
No.
Does something similar come to mind? Is there anything that's happened like this before where it's all just like hearsay, secondhand information, and you look into it and it seems to be nothing?
Well, yes, and these days social media creates a lot more innuendos that there's problems, and then we get to the precinct and there are none. Now, I'm not going to say there's no problems that happen on Election Day. When you have that many precincts and that many excellent poll workers working, there are some little issues, and they're always resolved.
Tell us what kind of problems you had on Saturday. What were the big fires you had to put out?
Probably the biggest fires is we had one precinct where they did not do the lockout where a person could have been able to vote for the bond issue. It was 3 individuals that could not, and it was straight up 7 a.m. We took their names. We have all the dictated names of the voters, so if an issue did come up, we would know who they were, and the commissioner admitted she had made a mistake.
Mr. Mike, I know it was, pardon me, in North Caddo there was I think there was a state Senate seat that was really, really close. And then you've got in Shreveport specifically, you've got the bond issues that were really, is there sort of some sort of an automatic recount that kicks in? How does that work?
Only way that there isn't a recount is by written request, and the recount is on the mail-in votes. Everything else is automated, so there's nothing to recount on the machines. So
in the case of Bond Proposition 3, which failed by like 66 votes or whatever, what's the procedure if the city would like that checked again?
Well, they would do a written request, and then we would get with the Registrar of Voters, Dale Sibley, and we would pull the mail-in votes for that precinct, which would be the city of Shreveport, and then the Board of Election Supervisors would come in and recount it.
Do you anticipate that happening, or have you heard anything so far?
Haven't heard anything.
Okay.
It would be hard to find that many votes, but anyone has the ability to request it.
Turnout for Saturday, how did we do in Caddo?
Well, we did better than normal, and that's always a good thing.
Almost,
better.
Was it close to 50%?
Yes.
Okay, and that's way above what the October turnout was, correct?
Right. We were around 39% the first time.
Mike Spence, Caddo Clerk of Court. Thanks for your time, sir.
Anytime.
You bet.
101.7 FM, 710 Keel, Robert J. Wright and Erin McCarty earlier this morning in the 6 o'clock hour, given the fact that all 3 of the bond proposals, 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 was, do you have those in front of you? Because I know what's in there, but I don't know the numbers specifically. Bond proposal number 1 was
It was the water and sewer.
Okay. And that was the one that was anticipated that would lose, bluntly speaking, by the largest margin. And it didn't.
No.
What was it, 51-49 on that one, right?
I think so, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, bond proposal 2 was the police station and the fire trucks and all that kind of stuff. Folks were saying, experts were saying, if there's going to be one that passes, that's it, because people backed up. That was the one that lost by the greatest margin. And number 3, Prop 3, was the roads and stuff. And that was the one that lost only by, 60-some-odd votes?
60-some votes, yeah.
Okay, so are you proud this morning? Given your vocal, loud, blaring, trumpet-like opposition to the bond issue, are you doing an end zone dance? Or are you spiking the football?
No, I'm not. I want the city to be better. I want us to look better and have better things and, be a city that attracts folks and keeps our kids here. But I think the whole way this whole bond issue was done had too many flaws. And I want us to go back to the drawing board and do it better and be better at it.
In the 6 o'clock hour, Aaron and I both wrote down a name on a piece of paper, folded it up, and handed to the other. And on the page, we wrote down the name of the person we thought was most responsible for those 3 issues, those propositions, failing to pass. I've got yours.
Yep.
Adrian Perkins.
Yeah, that's who I think is.
Explain that one, Lucy.
Well, I when you look at the early voting numbers, and Scott Hughes made this point, and he said 2 of the 3 were passing. If you look at the early voting numbers, 1 and 3 were passed. The early voting numbers would have passed it pretty much. One of them was 52%, I believe. But then after last week's debacle with the security for the president, people really got upset. It really ticked people off. I know I talked to at least a dozen people who had voted early who wished they could have their vote back.
What name did I put on my sheet?
You put Greg Tarver on your sheet.
Yeah.
Explain that one.
I use Mr. Tarver because he was the African-American politician, Shreveport guy, who was vocal in his opposition for those 3 for whatever reason. But I think it's fair to say that there were a number of black politicos in the city who, for a lot of reasons, maybe they were like you and they thought it was just a bad deal, or maybe they feel like their political toes by Adrian Perkins are being stepped on, and it behooves them, it benefits them for him to be a one-term mayor. And I don't think you can underestimate the influence of politicians like Greg Tarver. Because of his public stance. We'll just end the names right there.
Yeah.